just get on with it. And yep, we are in with the first game that is going to be played between Spain E and Japan A. And it's going to be, well, on Arabia, of course, that is the preset map. We are only going to be getting into home maps in the other part of the tournament, or rather, the other part of the match, of course, in the remaining games. And the players this time are going to be DMD Death, Enigma CT, and Blood von Karstein for the Spanish team. And for the opponents, for the Japan, it's going to be Wars, as you know from RTS League chart, Chocobo, and May. Looking at the civilizations, we are looking at pretty much the standard stuff. Both are playing the same civilizations, Chinese, Persians, and Huns, so not really anything all that surprising, even though it's not a standard lineup that we usually see for normal games on Arabia. Usually you see Mayans in there, Mongols and whatnot. This is definitely gonna be something a bit different, at least for me, as I'm streaming a lot of RTS League, and that's basically a whole lot of the matches on Arabia are really, as I said, Mongol, Mayan, Han. So this is going to be quite different. Well, the Chinese are not really that unusual. Nice efficiency right here, just closing the villager in so that she doesn't have to walk around or whatnot. This is actually nicely played. And well, the Huns are kind of standard, and the Persians, well, they are basically like a second civilization for paladins that are deemed quite strong, and especially the knights in the castle age, because of course we are in the Nations Cup 2017, and that means that we are having the mod that is making both sling, that is not really that powerful strategy on Arabia, but much more importantly, walls are going to be harder to make as they are both more expensive and of course take longer to build. So some nice boards on the left. Looking at the minimap, I don't really expect anybody to be stealing because I don't see it yet. The only one that would be kind of close by to actually do it would be Blood von Karstein from Chocobot, but apparently it's not happening, or is it? No, it's not, because this is villager. And that would have been his own boar. He's having the second one at the top. Yep, we don't see the other one anywhere else, so it's just his boar. And it seems to be quite nicely timed, exactly as he needed to. As Chocobo is right now going to be coming for the first boar as well. And he already has some push deer. It's actually nicely played. And he does have a few more of those. And since in the early game there's not much to do, he's going to be continuing exactly with that. Where's actually the second boar? Ah, right now at the bottom. Next to wood line. And otherwise the map right now for Chocobo seems to be quite alright. Yeah, this is not really bad at all. This is going to be quite nice protection of the gold. The hunt, or rather berries, not bad, even though it's going to be wide open as you can see due to the map. It's going to be very hard for him to wall up. And on the right side, yeah, basically the same. And I don't really expect that he's going to be having that easy time of protecting himself, especially considering, as I said just a bit earlier, that the walling is a bit more difficult on the Nations Pack mod. Well, that's the boar in there. He's just now finishing with the sheep, and he's actually going for it. That's kind of weird. That's the second boar, in the front. And he's so far not coming for it. That's kind of interesting. Enigma CT definitely should be coming. Yeah, it's going to be making for some delay. As even though he still does have at least the one sheep, he already did have a bit of a downtime in there. He's already coming for a mill, which is kind of inefficiently built a bit, but doesn't really matter. But really not going for the boars. That's something you don't see all that often. That's something you don't see all that often. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be the plan. But yeah, he might be right now luring it through the scout, but apparently not. And he's basically opening up the possibility that maybe even Chad could be stealing it from him. If he discovers that, so far he doesn't seem to be discovering it all that much. So yeah. Well, definitely something that he should have gone for, but he didn't, and we'll see if it's going to be really that much of a problem as we are potentially expecting, because he's against a strong player. Chart, you can see he's already having the second boar right now butchered, and he is about 2k. So we could be expecting a pretty big advantage for him against Enigma CT, and Enigma CT is definitely not gonna be having any kind of easy game. As you also can see, the difference between the Gold League and the Silver League is that Silver League is having 3v3s, whereas Gold League is 4v4s. So that's a bit of a difference in there. And to be honest, I a bit more like the 3v3s, because in my opinion they are a bit more of the team games, because the 4v4s, they do devolve into basically 2v2s quite often. Whereas in 3v3s, the pocket position is very important, and well, if you are having a good pocket, you can quite easily win you a game. Just through correct cooperation and such. Okay, a bit of scouting, just some loom right now for chart. And he's going to be dashing. Alright. Well, since he's not even advancing to the next age yet, yeah, we would definitely be expecting that the dash is going to be coming in from him, and it could be especially powerful. Because yet again, we have to repeat that the opponent just now going for the boards, or yeah. He's having the first one, the second one is still standing in there, and it's really pretty late, and his economy should be quite a lot weaker than Charts, and Chart should be advancing just now into the feudal age, and he's going to be ready in, yeah, those militias that are going to be trying to deny the early economy to the opponent. Otherwise, his gold is kinda sucky. Most definitely right now pushing the deer so that he has a bit of an advantage. He doesn't have to go for farms that early. Right now still some sheep and hopes that he's going to be making in time, but yeah, this deer is having a bit different ideas as she needs to go around the stone pile. But yeah, it seems like that he's going to be managing just fine in the end. But to finish the thought with the gold, of course, this is not going to be any easy gold for him. Potentially could be very easily under attack, and it basically speaks to the fact that he should be the one trying to apply pressure as fast as possible and basically deny that opportunity to his opponent. A lot of gold in the front though, so if he can somehow guard himself, it's going to be quite fine. Purple still not advancing. Right now 22 villages, he's having 2 more, but yeah, he's of course going to be advancing a bit later. And definitely has to be careful that it's not too late. It's not a bit too late. So, in the meantime, some villages are going to be clicking in. For Chocobo, right now there's barracks coming up for the Grey player for the Hun, so it's going to be probably... Well, right now, I'm kind of going to be curious what he's going to choose, if it's going to be Archer Angel stable. Apparently stable, so it's going to be Scout Caller raiding for him. Whereas, yeah, we are going to be seeing the same for Chocobo as the Chinese, who is going to be trying to guard exactly against that with at least the one spearman that is exactly ready for that. So, Drash coming in. Ah, there is a hole. Yeah, this is the illusion. That sometimes happens on the hills. They just went right through. So nice wall. Not. And even many times. Oh, are you going to be continuing with it a bit more? Apparently not, but he's going to be switching into archers. Now that's going to be this kind of variant. And of course, he's right now forcing Enigma CT to retreat from his very crucial food gathering point and also a wood lumber camp in here, as he's just now advancing into the feudal age. And even though he does have a bit more villages than Chart, it's not really going to be for much longer. And yet, the early advance will definitely allow Chart to do a whole lot more. Well, in the meantime, Enigma was trying to have a bit of fun with the scout, trying to deny at least a bit of food from his opponent, but not really working all that much, as the Manatams are just now trying to get rid of even more economy with his opponent. Already killing one villager. Yeah, these guys will have to retreat. And does actually, well, Enigma have some kind of options for himself? He could potentially build a tower, I think, but he will have to advance it to the next age first, though. That's gonna be needed for him. Well, this is not bad. It's actually a pretty good idea. He's gonna be funneling all the army next to the town center, which definitely could be killing them. But I'm really kinda curious right now what's gonna happen when he advances into the next age. As a Persian, you'll be probably expecting that he might be wanting to go for some scout cavalry himself, because he's going to be aiming for the stables and whatnot. But yeah, that wouldn't be the greatest choice against those guys. And let's quickly check on the left how's it looking in there, because of course we have already seen that Chocobo will be under attack by Vlad von Karstein and some scout cavalry, but since he's going for pretty much the same, it's going to be one-on-one, and so far it seems like that Chocobo is the one with slightly better numbers, but you mustn't forget that he's going to be also attacked by DM the Death, the pocket player, and that's going to be a double, and that's a bit too much for him to handle just by himself. But yeah, May in the pocket, that's of course pretty lucky spawn for them. He's going to be advancing into Castle Age pretty soon, and as the Persian will be supplying knights in no time. Already a bit of raiding by another squad of the scout cavalry guys, just being stopped by spearmen. Maybe you could just a bit vilified it. He probably doesn't want it all that much, so this is actually very nice raiding by the Spain E, and they are going for it with vengeance and trying to basically deny the opportunity that has so far been presented to Wars, aka Japan A, on the right side against Purple. So So how's it looking in there? Archers already joining with the men at arms, so they are having a bit of a guard themselves. Tower finally up, so that's going to be pretty nice protection for him. But we mustn't forget that he's of course going to be having significant problems with the gold, because the gold is very far away from the TC. And since right now he's going to be down to only food and wood, he still could be having at least skirmishes. This is exactly what he's gonna go for. But yeah, it's not going to be that easy for him, because of course if right now Chart places correctly, which I think he will be because of his skills and experience, he will be just trying to deny the gold as long as possible, and once he advances into Castle Age, he then is going to be absolutely wrecking the opponent with the knights of his own. Okay, so he's just going to be circling around, trying to make sure that his opponent is not really emerging from his shell, whereas on the left side Death is already trying to find something more with the Scout Cavalry. So is of course his teammate Vlad von Karstein, but it seems like that he's going to be forced into a bit more defensive than he potentially hoped for in the start of the game. Well, already nice defense with the Spearman. A lot of arms. Yeah, definitely could be using a bit more efficiency with some bills, but it's not like it's going to be mattering all that much, especially in this stage of the game. Bit of blue scouting in there, so the DCs where potentially yellow should be coming for a bit of raiding. But yeah, in the meantime, he's already coming for some town centers, for of course some knights, and he seems to be aiming. Well, I'm right now waiting if he's going to be cutting into the middle. Yes, he is. Almost look like that he actually might be attempting to help his teammate right against Enigma. But definitely not the case, and he's going to be aiming straight for the pocket, which is of course usually what you do, especially when you are having such a huge advantage in the advance into Castle Age as he is. And yeah, that's going to be a hard problem. Very hard problem for the Chinese players, especially right now with all the army from blue right now coming inside his base. And even though he does have very nice gold indeed at the very back of the base, he definitely isn't fast enough with the blockage by the barracks and the houses, and he's going to be denied the gold mines. And of course with the reinforcements of the knights coming in, it's going to be all that harder to defend against this. On the right, we are right now going to be continuing with at least having a quick look in there. There was a bit of blue army as well, but apparently it's gone somewhere differently, or rather somewhere else, probably a bit more into safety, as we are just now waiting for extra army to come into the opponent's base. And Red in the meantime doing what he can to raid his opponent, losing some units in the process, but nothing really all that major. But yeah, nicely played by Karstein, trying to protect the gold as much as he can, which he definitely needs to do. So Blacksmith, that should be Castle Age for him pretty soon, as we are just now looking at confirmation that the gold is not going to be available to the pocket player DM Death at all. Especially with the knights coming in, and right now he's having how many idols? Actually 15 out of 32, so basically half of his villages are idle. And he's not even just advancing into the next age. Wow. Even though he's having a whole ton of food. A whole ton of food indeed. He probably doesn't have enough buildings. Yeah, he doesn't. He's just not finishing with the market, I think. Looking into the castle exactly now. Yep, that's going to be it. And well, in the meantime though, a lot of damage is going to be dealt to him. And much more importantly, he's going to be out of any kind of gold. And without gold, your Castle Age is going to be completely useless, because you are the ones to do Castle Age to get some expensive units, like in case of Chinese, it's usually Chemos. But you're not gonna be having any of those. So this combination, this double from May and Chart, is probably going to be quite significant for the next progress of the game. In the meantime, of course, he's attempting a bit of raiding himself, as he's right now in May's base. But it's going to be a bit of a Willy fight and Spearman, so it seems like 2 dead Spearmen in there. It still has to defend a bit inside his base, but it's going to be just a question of time. Even though some reinforcements from platform Karstein are coming in before some extra Spearmen are up, and yep, those Scout Cavalry guys, they are not really that strong against Spearmen. Purple, pretty nice defense in there, but nothing really all that interesting. Otherwise, he's basically just preparing for exactly this that is coming inside his base, and with Castle Age for Chart, yeah, well, he might be wanting to wait a bit, because of course the crossbowmen are going to be a whole lot stronger and even better against all those skirmishes. Just now noticing, paying enough attention, and yep, he's gonna wait exactly for what we said just a bit earlier. So, nice dying to DC fire, but otherwise at this point it's quite well worth it. Even though he's losing the units to basically just the TC, he's at least making sure that those villages need to be garrisoned inside the town center, which means not gathering any resources, and of course that in turn is resulting into a pretty terrible position once he advances into Castle Age just exactly now. So this is nicely played. This is very nice triangle by Japan A, as on the left, well, Chocobo right now also switching into a bit of knights as he is in the Castle Age for a bit longer, and Siege Workshop coming up with the monastery, so it's going to be a bit of a confirmation that he is definitely aiming to close the game very soon. We're just coming for a bit more of the wood, gold on the left, and where is the next gold? Ah, on the right. That's the big one, definitely open, and I'm kinda curious why actually Chocobo isn't coming for it. Because he has already scouted it, so he knows where the gold is, but he's probably expecting that there are just a bit of villages protected by the palisades, but since he can fit just a few of those there, yeah, well, it's going to be very easy to raid and put a stop to this. Even though, of course, already, due to all the gold right now being gathered, the knights are going to be coming in from Platform Karstein as well. So Veteran Ram not really going to be standing for much longer, even though he's trying to get rid of the blacksmith so that actually his opponent cannot get, for example, forging for the better knights and whatnot. The villager trying to finish those archer hinges probably will succeed, at least with the one on the left. Yep, that's up. Even though I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be that important, because what's he going to be needing archer hinges for? What he right now needs is either a spearman, or rather already pikeman at this stage, or he needs a lot of knights himself, so yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's the idea behind the archer range, because it, to be honest, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially with the monks coming in, if they are going to be dealing with any low number of units that his opponent is having. So yep, you should be probably expecting to garrison a few archers in there and try to deny the conversion by the monks. In the meantime, of course, Blue right now just circling around the base of his opponent. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of villages dead very easily. You could have seen already the first victim in there. Switching into the stables as you would be expecting for the Persian, but yeah, those crossbowmen, they are just going to be strengthening the economy of Enigma to some pretty brutal degree. And I don't expect that he's going to be having that easy game at all. Yep, so village is going to be dying in pretty big numbers, but next important stuff is that actually yellow is going to be joining red on the left. So that's going to be a bit of a different approach to the things, as right now Vlad von Kashtan is desperately trying to finish the TC, which he might succeed in. He does have enough villages in there, but of course the siege rams, not really siege rams yet, just normal veteran rams are going to be getting rid of everything in there very soon. So this gold is not going to be safe at all, and the next one, yeah, that just cannot be called safe at all either. So even though Castle Age is coming in right now for Enigma, that's going to be probably one of the last victories for Spain E, as otherwise Japan A is doing a pretty great job so far. Let's just turn on the chat for the remainder of the game. Need to remember to do that next time at the start as well. And yeah, this double seems to be a bit too strong, because of course we could have seen that DM the Dev was ready to basically to death. And right now the GGs are coming in because he's absolutely unable to help exactly through that very strong strangle. And yep, this double on left is just a bit too much to handle for Vlad von Karstein just by himself, and considering that Enigma on the right is being killed through the crossbowman as well. This was very nicely played and very nicely controlled by Japan A. So congrats, and the first game is coming for you. Let's check the achievements. That is going to be coming for May. Well, I would be maybe thinking that Chart would be a bit more important player in the game. You can see the scores are not really that different. Usually when the pocket player is a strong player, you are going to be seeing him winning the score by like 1,000 or even more. But this time the flanks were very good indeed, and especially Chart, what he did. First with Enigma, then with DMD Death. That was part of the reason why they won in game number 1. Good economy for May. Fortunately, DMD Death wasn't allowed to do the same. They were very nice raid-in by Japan A. Yeah, 82 villages. Pretty good boom. Okay, GG.